Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Tana just released a couple of super powerful AI features that I can't wait to share with you all. The features are called AI fields and AI commands, and they allow you to use ChatGPT directly within your Tana workspace and with all the information that you already have in there. I'm going to show you in this video how to define concepts, extract topics, counter claims, create a research plan, and even summarize voice notes, all with the help of GPT directly in Tana. But now let's get on with the show, and I'm going to show you how to set AI commands and AI fields up in Tana yourself. Now, as I record this, the AI features are available as part of Tana Labs. You get to Tana Labs by going up here to the gear icon, and in Tana Labs here, selecting the AI features. Once you've done that, all you need is an OpenAI API key. And you get that by going to platform.openai.com. And what you see there is the following. After signing up, that's the overview. And up here in the menu, you see View API Keys. And here you can create new secret keys. You only see that key once, and you'll copy it over into Tana. Really important to remember is that using OpenAI in those API keys costs money, right? So you are responsible for monitoring the usage and how much money you're paying for using that API when you use it inside Tana. Neither me nor Tana is responsible for that. That's your thing. And also really important to remember is that every time you use ChatGPT inside Tana, you're sending data from your workspace to OpenAI. Don't use this with data that you don't want to share with OpenAI, right? That's really important. Tana is not involved in that transaction at all, right? As soon as you use the ChatGPT and AI features in Tana, you transact with OpenAI directly, and you're responsible for that being okay, right? That you only send data that you can and that you want to have shared with OpenAI. Now, with that out of the way, let's actually set this up and get started with using the OpenAI API inside Tana. The first thing that I want to show you are AI fields, and these are really powerful. So let me go into the demo here, and what we're going to do is we're going to get additional information. And how that works is, let's say, for example, we have a couple of concepts, right? Like expertise or second brain. And these are tagged as concepts, and they have fields as part of that concept tag, right? They're part of, they contain other concepts. All of that is explained in TANARIAN Brain, but they also have a concept definition where I can write down what I understand expertise means, or what a second brain is. But with OpenAI and the AI fields that we can now use in Tana, we can have ChatGPT write a definition of that concept. Let me show you how that works. I go here to the concept definition field and I configure this field, right? And this is now the configuration screen, and you see here AI enhanced field. Now, if I click this for the first time, you see set API key, right? This only appears when you've never used the AI features in Tana before. So let me click this, and here I can paste my OpenAI key, right? Once I've done that, I can close this, and this field is now AI enhanced, right? I'm going to dismiss this. And what I have pasted in here is a custom prompt, right? And I can say, okay, I'm going to give ChatGPT the context of the node that this field belongs to. And here I'm referring to the name of the node itself, right? So this syntax works the same as the build title from fields, right? Using this $sign and then curly brackets, you can refer to either the name, to the node itself, then to different fields, right? So here in the examples, they have a field that's called language and a field that is called style, and you can refer to these. For the concept definition field, my prompt is role your lexicographer, task, define name. So in our example, either expertise or second brain in less than 100 words, and then output definition of name, right? And this is what we're giving then ChatGPT. And Tana is really helpful because they provide a prompt workbench where you can test these things out, what you want to have in the prompt, and then you can test the AI completion. And here you can paste a reference to a specific node that you want to use as a test node. So for example, I can copy this node on expertise, right? I copy this in here, and then you see the expanded prompt where everything is filled in is you're a lexicographer, define expertise in less than 100 words. Definition of expertise is the output. And if I click test AI completion, we get a really nice definition back, right? We can enable GPT-4 if you have access to the GPT-4 API. I don't, and the default for Tana is ChatGPT 3.5, right? Now, with the prompt workbench and the thing we have tested, we're happy. We can close this, and now we are back here where we see our concept definition field, right? This is what we just configured. And over here you see the AI sparkly field. And if I click this, it's going to run the prompt that we just defined, right? So if I click this here, you see it's doing its thing. It's creating a concept definition for expertise, and boom, here we are, a really nice definition of what expertise is. All of this makes sense. Fantastic. So that is what you can do with AI fields in very simple terms, but you can of course also do more complex things. You can have things translated, you can get the etymological origins of a word, have those translated between languages, give you example sentences, what have you. What ChatGPT can, these AI fields can do as well. Next, let's look at AI commands, because that's where it gets really wild. With the release of the AI features, what you can do is you can create command nodes. And you do that by just writing any text and then hitting Command K, and then command convert to command node, and that becomes a command node like here. For this example, I've already created one, which is called get topics. And the example that I want to show you is this quote. I have a field that references topics, right? Of course, I can fill these topics out myself, right? But with AI, we can now have this field filled out by the AI for us and save us a bunch of time. Hey there, this is Future Lucas. When I recorded this video originally, the feature or the command was called Ask GPT. Since then, it has been renamed to Ask AI. So whenever you see Ask GPT in this video, just think about how that's now called Ask AI, and you're good to go. Hope that helps, and now back to the video. So how does that work? If I open up this command node, I can indent commands below it. And one powerful command is Ask GPT. And we can edit this command. And here we have our prompt again, right? And crucially, we can also define a target node where the contents that we get back from ChatGPT gets filled into. And in this command, that is the topics field, right? So everything that the prompt returns to us gets put into the topics field down here. The prompt that I've written is about extracting topics. It's a fairly simple prompt. Again, you can have that in the free template, but of course also in TANARIAN Brain. And here again, we have a prompt workbench where we can test this out. So I can take this code, for example, and copy it into here. And then we can again run the test completion. And the topic it gives us is note-taking. We can also play with the temperature. That is kind of how OpenAI thinks about creativity in a way. So if we pull this up, let's see if there's anything more it comes up with than note-taking. No, in this example, it's just note-taking. That's fine. We have two different ways of making sure that commands run. I can focus with my cursor in any quote here, and I hit Command K, and then I type get topics, and you see I have here a new command in the command line, in the command prompt that I can select, and then it does its thing, and you see topic is note-taking, right? It extracts that and it's done. Very, very simple. The second way I can do this is that I can say I want every quote to have a button that says get me the topics. And for that, we go into the quote tag configuration, and right at the bottom here, we have the advanced selection. We go in here, and here I can now reference the get topics command. And as you see here, that creates a button here that I can click, and that will run the command as well. So if I go here and click get topics, that is what it returns, right? Very simple and very useful. You can do all sorts of things. You can basically add buttons to anything now, right? Anything that has a specific tag, you can add buttons that do things, commands, and those can be AI enabled. Now let's move on to the third example. So far, the examples have been fairly basic, right? I've shown you how AI fields work generally. I've shown you that you can create commands and turn them into buttons, and both of these so far have returned us a definition, or they have extracted a little bit of information from the root of the thing that we're interested in. In the next example, I want to show you a little bit more, and that is a command that I call countering a claim, right? I have two claims here, and the claim prompt that I have here, or the claim command, is set up the following. I have a prompt, and I'm telling ChatGPT that it is a world famous expert on topics, and it is tasked with evaluating a claim. Now let's check this syntax here again. If I open this up, you see this claim here has a field topics, right? And right now it is empty. And what I can do, of course, is I can run get topics, and that is going to get filled out, right? This claim is about nuclear power, CO2 emissions, and climate change. And we're referring to these topics in the prompt here, right? So if I open up the prompt workbench, you see here, you're a world famous expert on nuclear power, CO2 emissions, and climate change, and tasked with evaluating the claim. And the claim is this, right? So here in the prompt, the $ curly brackets name refers to nuclear power emits no additional CO2, whatever. And I can also refer to the values of fields and also give those into the prompt. And that's really powerful, because what happens is I can now get a refutation of this particular claim. So I can say, counter this claim. And as you see, it's doing its thing. And then down here, we are going to get the results of that countering. It's going to come up with 3 counter arguments: not completely carbon-free energy source, not renewable, not without risk, right? And these 3, it just came up with itself, right? We prompted it, we said, okay, we have this question, this claim that we want to investigate. You're an expert on these topics, give us counter arguments. And of course, we can do that for any claim, right? So these 2 claims are opposed, and now I can run here, counter this claim, and it's going to do the same thing, and I will be left with 6 different other counter arguments, right? 3 pro and 3 against. And with that, it gets really interesting how you can quickly explore different questions, different things you want to learn about, and ChatGPT can help you in situ as you're working in it, in your own workspace, as you're working on those questions and those claims. It can help you come up with interesting new avenues to think about, right? And so here we have a counter argument, a counter argument, a counter argument, and reasoning for each, right? So that's really powerful, and all we had to do was pass it the name of the node here, right, the claim, as well as the topics that the claim covers. As we are exploring things, one thing I like to do is start from questions, right? Like thinking about, okay, what questions do I actually want to have answered? And then trying from there to figure out a plan to answer that question. And ChatGPT inside Tana can help you with that as well. So here I've created a command node that suggests a research plan. And as you can see here, I've already configured this to be a button on anything that is tagged as a question. And now if I run this command, let's see what happens. First, it adds a new field, right? You're not restricted to the fields that are already defined in the configuration of a tag. You can always add your own fields as you are running commands on a specific node. And so it adds the research plan node. And what's also going to happen is it's going to come up with a research plan, and it's going to provide a couple of search terms that I can use to search more online for the things that might be interesting as information to answer this question, right? Here's the research plan that it came up with, and here are the search terms. Now, the one interesting pattern that I've seen and that I use in this example is that the prompting in 2 steps, basically, right? So in the Ask GPT command here that I use for this suggest research plan command node, I give it a prompt, right? You're an expert in topic. We've seen that before. What we haven't covered before is this, the combination prompt. And what happens here is that Tana takes the output from the first prompt and takes that as the input for another prompt. And what I've done here is said, you're an expert, blah, blah. A grad student has come up with the following research plan, and there I'm referring to the research plan it itself has generated, and then I let it critique that research plan and come up with a better one. And that is extremely powerful because it helps GPT to really think through and come up with a cohesive step-by-step plan that you can follow. I find that a really interesting and powerful method for getting a lot out of every single time that I run such a prompt. I can tell it how to format the output, and here I can again play with the temperature as I want. What I also am using here, as I mentioned, adding the field research plan that wasn't there before, and that happens through the set field values command. And here you can just reference in the field that you want to set. I can set a default value here as well, but here I've left it empty. And what the node filter does is it lets me say, okay, every single thing that is tagged as a question should have this button, suggest a research plan, right? That is what node filter lets me do. Now, finally, let's look at something that I'm really excited about, and that is a way to summarize voice notes. Let's say, for example, that I have a voice note that I've recorded on my phone or on my computer, and I have copied it into Tana. In Tana, you can then have those transcribed, right? So just do Command K, transcribe audio, and it's going to run through and transcribe that audio for you. And then you can run, of course, more commands on this, right? So in my summarize voice note command, it's a chat ask GPT command again, and a very long prompt. I have this prompt from Thomas Frank adapted. He uses a similar prompt for his Notion voice note workflow that is also really cool. Definitely check that out if you're into Notion. But in Tana, it is a little bit simpler than in Notion. And basically all you need to do is say, okay, I have a transcript. I want a title for that transcript. 15 words is what we have. Then I want a summary. I ask GPT here to summarize as if we're talking about things in the past and in the first person, right? So when I read this later, I want to have the impression that I wrote what's there. Otherwise, GPT talks about the speaker does whatever, and that reads weird to me. I rather like it differently. And then we'll get a section additional info where we list the main points, a list of action items, and then a list of follow-up questions, plus a list of potential arguments against the things that I have said in my voice note. And that is then formatted like this, right? We have the summary and the text of the summary, additional info, main points, action items, follow-up questions, potential arguments against. And then down here we have the transcript and the sys context, which is everything so far indented under the main node on which we are running the command. So let's collapse this and run this, Command K, and then summarize voice note. And again, it's doing its thing, and it will paste all its outputs down here under the text of the transcript. Right, we're exploring knowledge ops for business. That's what I was talking about in my note. Here is a summary where GPT writes as if I am writing, right? So I discussed my thoughts on knowledge ops and whatever. And then it gives me a section with additional info, with the main points. I get a section with action items that flow from the thing I talked about. I get a section with follow-up questions that are really useful, and potential arguments against the things that I've been talking about in the transcript. And all of that with just a single command node and getting things into Tana. I hope these features make you as excited as they make me. I have spent a ton of time building similar commands into Tanarian Brain. It is now a huge upgrade to Tanarian Brain that packs AI into every nook and cranny, and it gives you like a supercharged second brain that isn't just a place where you store and organize things, but where you can actually collaborate, as we've seen in this video with AI to think better, make better decisions, and organize things. All of the commands you'll see in this video are also part of TANARIAN Brain, my ultimate second brain template. Link is in the description. In TANARIAN Brain, you get Tiago Forte's Para system, GTD, Zettelkasten, and much more, and all of that now enhanced with AI features. And if you want these commands without getting TANARIAN Brain, that's totally cool as well. I'm linking a template that has just these commands for free below as well. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.